Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning. I'm out in the shop for a few minutes and I got to run an errand and I hope to be back in the shop later tonight. But let me show you what I'm going to be getting started on. This is a box of blanks from my patrons. I decided in order to get ready for the Chaos collaboration, I need to be able to figure things out on a little bit smaller scale. So my patrons have sent their blanks in, and what I'm going to do, Chaos collaboration on a much smaller scale. Now, you guys know I want to do 20 people at a time. So I have to figure out how many of my own blanks do I have to add to make this work, because normally when I do a Chaos glue up, I have a bunch of blanks that are 3.5 inches long and then a few that are a little over 5 inches long. And that's not a big deal. However, I promised everybody a 5-inch blank in return, which means I'm gonna have to do some serious math. And that's what I've been doing. This page, I did a bunch of math in my notebook and I figured out how I wanted to do it. And then that page deals with the smaller version of Chaos, which is gonna be about 14 people. So I offered it up to my patrons. I thought, let's try, I have a great community over there. It's not a ton of people, but let's try with the Patreon community first. So I offered it up and said, hey guys, and it's already closed. So we're done. The blanks are coming in and I'm gonna start on them today. But I offered it up to them to do a Chaos collaboration, and a bunch of them jumped on, 14 to be exact. So I've done a smaller glue up, and it looks like 14 people would be 42 blanks, all right? So then I did my figuring. I went backwards. If I want to have a blank where I can cut out a minimum of 14 blanks, I need to add some blanks to it. So I worked backwards. I drew out what it would take to get that. I added a couple, I think I added 4 in or something like that to get 20 blanks. And so the final blank needs to be these dimensions, and that left enough room for the kerfs. And then I subtracted the 8-inch kerfs and worked backwards, building a bigger and bigger blank for 2 iterations, because I'm gonna do a Series 2 Chaos blank. So I worked it backwards and figured out what the starting blank size needed to be. And to get 20 blanks, I'm going to end up starting with 80. So what that means is I get 42 blanks from my patrons, and I got to add 38 blanks of my own. And I'm hoping to have 4 blanks left for myself, as well as with the cutoff, maybe I can get some 3-inchers out of there. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, but this is really a trial run. And that's why I'm doing it, is I got to figure this out, because I'm figuring when I go to 20 people, that's 66 blanks that come in. I think I'm going to take 100 to make the blank is what it's going to take. So I got to add 44 of my own blanks. So I do have a lot of woods up there, but this, depending on how many glue ups or how many sets of blanks I have to do, this could get to be a lot of blanks. And some of my patrons were very generous. They sent additional blanks so that I would be able to glue them up and extend my blank. I wouldn't have to use as many of mine, and I truly appreciate that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to get some of my wood down, and I'm going to mill it, and then I'm going to start milling these down to not 3/4 by 3/4, but square. I'm going to make them perfectly square, the largest I can perfectly square, so that when I start doing the glue up, it goes nice and easy. That's what I'm going to do today. So we're going to get started on that. I'm going to go up top and drag some wood down first. Then we're going to clean all of the bespoke tools off of the table saw, get them put somewhere else. And then we're going to start cutting and squaring blanks for our very first Chaos collab, Patreon only Chaos collaboration. So do know that I have a Patreon channel. I ask $1 a month to support the channel. Many people are offering $2 and $3 and some a little more than that. And I thank those people very much. But it's just over there, I will shoot lens clips, which are 15-second, I think, clips. And you get a little bit of behind the scenes that doesn't come out in these videos or doesn't come out in the RJB Woodturner videos. And not to mention, when I do something like this, I'm going to let the patrons kind of have first shot at it, simply because they're the people who are supporting the channel, and it's a smaller group, so it's a little more controllable when it comes to something like this, and it lets me learn and build, and then I can offer it out to the rest of the world. So there's a great group of people over there, and I appreciate all of them. So I will put a link to Patreon. I probably already have put it in this video somewhere up here, or over there, I don't know. Everything's reversed when you're shooting, but please consider joining my Patreon channel for $1 a month to help support the channel. And if you feel like it, if you think you'd get a lot out of this channel and want to keep this thing going, feel free to, $2, $3, whatever you can afford. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you can't afford it, don't worry about it. I understand. This is a for starters pile. We've got a whole bunch of blanks that I'd already milled up a while back. I've got a lot of pieces in here. Maple, there's some cherry, there's some oak, just a lot of different pieces. We're going to mill these boards up into blanks. Got a nice piece of, that's a very light piece of walnut, I believe. Or maybe that's cherry, I don't know. There's a bunch of Maranta, nice big stick of maple. And what I'm going to do is start milling these up today to get them down to a, well, first off to get them square, but to get them down to a manageable size. That's the first batch of wood that I'm going to use as filler wood. So I hope I can get a very large number of blanks out of that I'll be able to use in these collaborations. Please feel free, though, if you want to send some extra blanks. As I said before, I'll take anything for your spare blanks. I want your 3 original to be really cool, so you get a blank back that's got a lot of really awesome stuff in it, a lot of color, a lot of contrast. But if you would like to send some additional blanks, I'll accept whatever for the collaboration. It could be maple, walnut, cherry, oak, whatever. And I can mill it if it's a larger piece and if it's already in blank size. Because no matter what you send, even the blanks that I have in the box, they're all going to go through my small stock joining jig, and they're all going to get squared so that they glue together nicely. I'll at least square one side. That way I can glue side to side, and then I'll square the side off of the big blank so that off a couple big blanks to glue them together. I'm going to try to reduce a lot of the cutting to save time. But we do need to get blanks down to size, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. So I'm going to turn my attention now to cleaning off the table saw, and we'll get ready to start milling. Take a look at this. Is that not incredible? Lisa Albrecht laser engraved this and sent it to me. I absolutely love this tumbler. It is amazing. It's got an aluminum straw, and it's already been put in the utensil drawer, but there was a little brush like I use in the garage for cleaning my blanks. It came with a little brush to be able to clean the inside of the straw. It's got a few water spots on it where I've been using it. This is going to work with me. I use these at work, and I don't want to put this in the shop and beat it up. I'm proud of this. I want to show it off. So Lisa, thank you so much for making this for me and for sending it to me. I do appreciate it. A couple of other things happened in the shop. I bought some more sticks of 3/4 inch aluminum. So we'll be able to get back to making mandrels. I have a cap mandrel to make, and then this will give me plenty of opportunity to build any other mandrels that I might want to make. I would like to eventually build them out of steel, but I think I'm going to have to upgrade Old Faithful there. So we'll work on that. And this is really cool. Got one of my Duresta shop stickers, and it was really nice. Jimmy wrote a little handwritten message on the back, and I appreciate that, Jimmy. Love and respect, Jimmy D. He has no idea who I am, but I do appreciate him taking the time to say that and to write that on the back of my envelope. Thank you so much, Jimmy Duresta. I know you don't watch this channel, but if you did, I want you to know I really appreciate the shop sticker. I thought you guys might enjoy seeing the process I'm using for milling up these pieces of wood. What I need is to get this cut into 3/4 inch pieces, and I can get 2 out of it. And then, of course, I got a piece here that's not quite 3/4 left over, so I won't be able to use those for this project, but we'll use them somewhere else. What I start out by doing is I open up my fence and I run this through the blade just enough to square one edge. Then I flip it over, move it back into the blade. I square the other edge, so both sides of this have been squared. And that's important because some of this wood has a curve in it. So if I don't square that off, when it goes through the blade, it could cause it to move and not give me a full 3/4 inch blank. Once both sides are square, I've got my jig right here set to 3/4 inch from the blade. There's a wheel on there. I just move the fence over, run this through. I get 2 passes, which yields something like this. And you can see I've got 2 that are 3/4 inch and 1 that is a little less than 3/4. And these have 2 nice sides that are perfectly square for gluing to. And this will make great filler for the blank. This is Maranta, and I forget where Maranta comes from. I used to know, I just don't remember. You guys can always Google it if you'd like. But that'll make some nice filler wood along with some of that maple and walnut and a little bit of cherry. And so it'll be mixed up. I don't want too much of it in any one blank. So we can kind of mix a little bit in, and it'll give a nice contrast. made some pretty good progress. Of course, these will have to be cut into more manageable size blocks, around 5.25 inches. I've got a bunch over here of the larger blocks that I've cut down to 3/4, and they just need to be cut into individual blanks. Making good progress. The pile has gone way down. Some of my scraps right here, just a few odds and ends left over. They'll go back up in the loft. But I have to stop for now because if you look, I just noticed right there is the level on my dust collector. So I got to get this cleaned out. You can kind of see it in there right there. Got to get that cleaned out. Dust collector empty and ready for duty. Let's get back to cutting blanks. Well, we got a little bit of a problem. Don't know if you can see it or not, but there's the pulley for my saw, and the belt has come off of it. So I broke the table saw belt. So what I'm going to do is get it out of there, and then I'm going to get online, figure out which one I need, and see if I can't get that on order. So we are done cutting for today. There's what she looks like. All right, let me go see if I can find one of these and get it on order. I am back in the shop. I got my errand taken care of, and I've got time to spend out here in the shop this evening. And what I'm going to do, I'll let you guys know I was able to find that belt, and it like to killed me having to pay for it. It's a little old tiny belt. I showed you guys how big it is. This big. $47 for this belt. I tried like heck. I spent several hours, almost 2 hours, about 1 hour and 45 minutes, trying to find this belt is considered, it's no longer produced. It's what do they call it? The saw is, whatever. They don't produce belts for it anymore. They still produce belts. You just have to find the reference number. So I had to buy this from Parts Warehouse. I tried to find the reference number for a belt that is newer, on a newer tool, because I probably could have gone to Amazon and got it a lot cheaper. I could not find it. It like to killed me. So, all right, this project's already cost me $47. So bear in mind, guys, I'm doing this all for you. I thought I was going to have to push back the collaboration because I've told you guys it's going to kick off the first week in February. I thought I was going to have to push it back a week. They say it could take up to 8 days for this to ship. So I am kind of behind. I'm going to be behind on my collaboration for the patrons, but I figured, you know, if this comes out the first week of February, I got to invoice everybody, and then it's going to take a few days to come in. We're still, I don't know, 4 or 5 days away from February starting. And then by the time I start getting blanks, that should be the 8 days for this thing to ship. And then probably 3 days to get here. So 11 days. It's probably not going to hurt me too bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this saw apart. Let me show you. The first thing we're going to do is clean. I can tell you that. It's all over the floor as well. I actually stopped. This will be the 5th time, but I stopped 4 times throughout this process and cleaned up because there was a ton of sawdust there and on the floor each and every time. But I'm going to prepare this saw for the brand new belt. So we'll get all this cleaned off, get it off the saw. We'll get the saw laid over on its back. The back is flat. There's nothing sticking out. As long as I remove this, we'll be fine. But you can see there's a hole there. What happened is before I had my zero clearance insert, I was cutting a thin strip of wood and a piece came off, fell down into the saw, and the blade through this is just a little piece of 1/4 inch wood back here. And I put this wood on here and sealed it on the inside to kind of, I didn't want that big hole there. So my dust collector would pull more from the top down. So I'm going to get that torn off. We'll get a new piece put on, a little thicker piece, maybe a 1/4 inch or whatever of actual plywood or something to get on there, just to keep that from happening again. Plus the zero clearance ought to stop that. I'll clean out the bottom of the saw. I'll get everything ready to go so that whenever the belt comes in, you can see the spindle there. I just have to slide it on the spindle there for the armature for the blade, slide it onto the motor spindle, and boom, she should be ready to go. I'll put a blade on there, put the zero clearance back in, set the saw up, and we will be ready to rock and roll. So, and I got to clean up back here too because of that hole. Lots and lots of sawdust is coming out. While I'm in there, I'm also going to try to do a little more sealing because the more airflow I have coming through the hose, you know, pulling down, the less of this that you're going to see happening. So maybe I can clean that up a little bit while I'm in there too, seal it up a little more, and you know, just make it a little more efficient for the dust collector. I got the saw laid back, and I can tell you that thing is heavy. It was a horse. I think last time I disconnected the saw from the base and I just laid the saw down. Would have been better because now I've got to kind of work through all this this base, but I think we'll be okay. That's my dust collection port there. I'm just gonna go ahead. I use that that aluminum tape, and that stuff, I'll see if it'll peel off, but if it doesn't, I got the old razor knife. We'll just cut it right along the dust collection, a plastic dust collection port, and we'll just replace it. So let's get that out of there, and then we'll clean the inside of the saw out, and because I know there's a lot of goodies in there. You can kind of see some of the little pieces that fell down. I'm hoping that there's a lot less of that with the zero clearance. I got really lucky. I guess the dust had migrated around the edge of this this housing into the tape, and the tape pulled off with just very little residue left on the housing. And then you can see I had 4 screws, 1 in each corner. I popped those out, and that's what's left inside of my saw. That's a lot of garbage. And I think what's happening is the larger pieces, and you can see a bunch of them in there, are getting down beside the normal insert. Now with the zero clearance, I hope that doesn't happen, because you can see some of them have some size to them, you know, and they get in there, and then they get sucked onto the port, and then the dust can't get out of the saw. It can't escape as efficiently as it should. So I'm gonna get all this cleaned out and just go from there. I'll show you guys when I get her done. There's not really a good way to do this because, well, I need to take the table saw off the base, and then this wooden section that I created to help, you know, house this bolts on from the inside, so I can remove the 4 bolts from the inside. That'll drop, and I'll have better access to it. But I don't know if you can see it, but right there is the bottom pulley. And if you look up, it's kind of dark to see in there, but the other pulley is about 5-6 inches up in there. I think if I can squeeze the belt in half and push it up past that pulley, catch the top pulley, I think I can work it onto that one with my hand. I believe I may be able to bring that closer to me. That entire section moves up and down for the blade, and I had it all the way up so that I could take the blade out. I'm going to try to twist the knob and see if I can bring it farther down, because if I can, it'll just make accessibility that much easier. But man, I cleaned a lot of junk out of there. So it was pretty darn packed with sawdust. I got to figure out what I want to do about that back plate too while we're in there. Got the garage floor cleaned up. I'm happy about that. I checked, and with the mechanism all the way lowered, I can reach in at the top of the saw and put the belt right on the wheel, and then just come to the bottom here, and I should be able to put it over the wheel on the motor, and we should be in great shape. It should be fairly simple, and then I'll get, the hard part will be flipping this saw back up. But as soon as I get that on there, I'll go ahead and reattach that, get it all put back together. I'll get the hose reattached to it, and we'll get it flipped up, and then we'll get our blade back installed, and we should be back in business, start using this again. And I found this piece of wood, and I was going to put it in from the inside, but I thought, you know what? Nobody ever sees the back of the saw. I'm just going to go to the back of the saw, and I probably will use a couple of sheet metal screws, bam, 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 zip it in, and then put some of that metal tape around it. I'll cut it, you know, a little bit more to size so it's not quite so big, but I'll just go ahead and use that on the back of the saw to cover up that hole, and that should help with the airflow and hopefully pull more of the dust into the dust collector. So I'm happy about that. But I also did a little more cleaning. I've been trying really hard to keep my shop clean. I don't know if you guys have noticed or not. This is a mess because this is actually what I'm working on right now. These are all the pieces I was able to cut today. I just need to put them on a sled and knock them down to about 5 1/4 inches a piece. All of the pieces that I had cut off from that wood, which wasn't a lot, I've already put back up in the loft, the ones that were usable. These are the pieces that just need to be ripped down to 3/4 by 3/4. That's where I got stopped at. I cleaned off a lot of the stuff on my table. It's a little cluttery up here, not too bad. Obviously, this goes back in the saw. These are all of the blanks for the Patreon collaboration, Chaos Collaboration. So that'll all come off of there once the saw's working. And then these are just little, I put this over here. That's all of my bespoke stuff. I got to build a caddy to put that in. And then here's the bespoke stuff I've been using for the limited tool bespoke. Although I think I got a few things in there that don't belong. But I need to build a caddy for that. That's going to be something I got to put some thought into. But it's going to have to happen after the collaboration, because I think I'm going to be busy probably through the end of March, beginning of April, before I get all of these done. And I don't know. I also got some things I need to sell and I need to get them listed because I'll be going to the show in Chicago. So if anybody's going to be up in Chicago, I can bring it there. I'll be going to the show in Nashville and the show in West Virginia or Ohio. I'm not sure. It's right on the border there somewhere. So I want to get those things listed. And if anybody needs me to, anybody wants to buy them and is going to be at a show, I can bring it to the show because I don't want to deal with shipping because some of the stuff's heavy. So, but we'll go through all that. I got a lot going on, in the shop. I'm leaving the stairs down because I want to take the cutoffs up tomorrow, or I say tomorrow. I want to take the cutoffs up after I get done with the saw. And then I may need to bring some more wood down because that's a lot of wood, but man, I don't think that's going to be enough. It depends on how many people respond to the collaboration note. I think I'm going to just about call it quits out here tonight. There's not much else I can do. The primary objective I have is Chaos Collaborations right now. So I'm dead in the water. I was hoping to get the rest of that wood cut. Then I was going to knock it down to 5 1/4. I got a bucket here. I was going to load it in. And then I was going to grab the blanks from my patrons and start squaring them so that they can begin being glued up. But I'm kind of out of luck right now. Let's hope that the company, they said this thing was in stock on the website. So let's hope it's in stock. Let's hope they're able to throw it in a box. And let's hope I get it mid to late next week. And then that way, we can get started on these because I really need to finish this Chaos collab so that I can find out, is my math right? And, know what I've got to do for the rest of the collabs because it's a little overwhelming right now until I get a little practice time. But that's it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know it hasn't been a super interesting day, but a lot of stuff did happen today. Good, bad, and indifferent. So take care. Have a great evening, and I'll talk to you again real soon.